I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 35 years. Most of that time I've been working mainly with business people, small business owners, medium business owners, and doing a lot of estate work and leasing. I like to think that it helps them sleep at night. That we can take some of the risk out of their lives, so we can make sure that the deals that they want to go through actually really do go through, and that there are no surprises. I think what people are looking for as an outcome is security. Yeah, peace of mind, sleeping at night. There are some small things that people can do themselves, and certainly it's a great cost saving, but it's all a combination of the degree of risk and the importance or seriousness of what you're doing. You don't take even small risks as far as your life is concerned, but you could take a big risk as far as your bicycle is concerned. So, yeah, it depends what you're doing. In things which are more important, yes, I think there's a temptation to think that if you can find an answer on the internet or in a magazine that that's going to be enough for you, but the law is a lot more complex than that. And people often find out the complexities or the things that they hadn't thought of or the consequences that they hadn't realised when the events happen well down the track. And sometimes it's easily recovered from, other times it's not able to be recovered from. Obviously the worst example would be a will kit. If you're dead, there's no coming back and fixing it. You know, a bad will remains a bad will. Yeah. That's the majority of a lawyer's work. Not enough people do it right in the beginning, and time and again you're even just in a simple commercial contract situation, you're saying, well, why didn't you think of these things before? Why didn't you agree it while the relationship was good and everybody was prepared to be flexible and reasonable, instead of coming and seeing the lawyer when the wheels have fallen off, people are not getting on to the same extent, they're not prepared to be reasonable and meet halfway, and it's just a lot harder, but unfortunately it's the typical situation. Look, it's at least 10 years, it might be 15 years I reckon, that I've known Tony, a very long time anyway. My assessment of him as a person, I've a great deal of respect for Tony. He's got a very sharp mind, he's very agile, but you know, there are some people who you find who are so smart or so sharp that you think they're going to cut themselves. But Tony fortunately has that other side to him, that he's very down to earth, very reasonable, and what really comes across is how caring he is. In everything that I've done with him, I've been impressed by the degree to which he has a manner with the clients to listen to them, to explain to them, to make sure that they understand what he's talking about, as well as then giving them the advice, which would otherwise probably seem to be quite complex and difficult, and that he then carries through is the other distinguishing factor as well. You know, there are so many people who talk big or talk good, and you make arrangements with them and months later it's still meandering on. Tony, I suppose it's not a personality trait, but he's very much, you know, you do this, you do that, you do that, you do that. And in the environment where I work with him, that's terrific, because you know that you can count on him. If he says he's going to do this, this and this, it is definitely going to happen. It's going to happen, boom, boom, boom. Well, it's all horses for courses. I'm flat out keeping up with the law and the changes in tax and things like that which affect the areas that I do. And I've never attempted to go into that area of being able to give advice in relation to financial issues or general tax issues and things like that. So with Tony, my relationship is very much that I do, when he has a client who's looking for a solution that involves the law as part of those stages of it, that I get involved in that. But at the same time, I can talk to Tony about, well, what's going on in the other areas, or Tony can fill me in as to what's going on in the other areas, so that it all fits together as a package. So I suppose it's a long way around of saying we work together. He does his bit, I do mine, and I like the fact that I know that the bit that he's doing is going to happen and happen well. It's a problem in law, whether it's a small firm or a big firm. Big firms, they talk about silos, that you have lawyers who work within one stream of work and they're unfamiliar with other areas. As I was saying, in a small firm, it's that you cannot. Your resources just don't stretch you to being involved in other areas. So with Tony, the advantage is that he's across those other areas, all making sure that they're taken care of, and I can stick to the bit that I know. Yeah, definitely. I've referred quite a few people to Tony over the years, and every time the feedback's been good, which is what I'd expect. I've got every confidence in Tony and what he does. He'd do the right thing by them.